Beautiful people, what's up, guys? Another episode, Sunday Sessions with Rich podcast. Now, if you are new, welcome to the freaking show. My name is Richard. I'm the host. I love you. Thank you for dropping by. Like, subscribe, comment. I want to hear from you guys, okay? On today's episode, we got a lot of shit to talk about. A lot of shit happened that we got to dive into. Okay. On today's episode, guys, we have a repeated guest, my man, Dan, aka Mr PIA. Welcome back to the show, my G.
Yo, my brother. Yo, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. Man, I've been excited for this for a moment. Like after we did our first one, I wanted to come back for the rebound and then really get into some other stuff and recap and just like look back from I think it was 6 months ago since
Yeah, it was
we
6 months
did the
ago.
last podcast.
Yeah.
And yeah, it didn't fit in me. I was like, I ain't got my shape up, so I put my hat, the same hat. I thought, let me put the same hat on.
That's cool.
For that sort of brand recognition, right? And then let's go again. So yeah,
Hey,
man, a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
of course, brother. This is part two, man. I fuck with Dan heavy, man. I met Dan. This context about me and Dan. I met Dan on Twitter. Amazing guy, fellow Scorpio, down to earth. Just a great guy, man. Appreciate meeting you, brother.
Yeah, and we're in Scorpio season right now, so we need to get down to the truth, the nitty gritty, the depth of things, right? That's what we like to do pretty well. So let's get it.
Hey, cheers, brother. Cheers.
Yo, cheers, man. Cheers. My big 4 cup for everyone that's seeing this. This is the 4 cup, right?
That's a 4 cup, my G. This is just some wine, man. It's got some. I fuck with y'all. Look, the UK got some fire wine. It's this drink called Magnum. I'll be fucking with up here. That shit cold, bro. I love me a Magnum, bro. Not the condom, guys.
Yeah,
for context.
that's what's making that Magnum be hitting you slightly. You having one and you be like, it's a small ball, and you be like, whoa, all right, damn.
You feel me? I found them bitches. Like, ooh, I gotta take some of these back. These a little tough, guys. It's like a little. How the fuck describe it? It's like this. And it's like, oh shit, over 10% alcohol. And that bitch like £4.50.
Damn, it'd be hitting, man.
Hitting, bro.
Perfect sitting, perfect setting. You're already getting acclimatized to the UK life, bro. It's mad.
Bro, I just had some curry chips, bro, before the episode.
You having fish and chips?
Bro, I ain't gonna stunt you, bro. I ain't a fan of the fish. I ain't a fan of the fish. It's just like some dry battered fish.
Sorry, you don't have to get involved in all of that, man. Don't worry.
You feel me?
You can be an honorary UK person in general. So that's all there.
Hey,
the cosign.
My guy, hey, gratitude, brother. For like, I don't at this point it is a podcast episode journey, bro. I think this episode 81. I don't know who listening at this point. I just see numbers, so I know. It's amazing people out there. But for those who don't know who you are, this is their first time, seeing you, let them know who you are and what you got going on, brother.
Cool, man. So yeah, my name is Mr PIA, so / progress is addictive. So I'm a freelance branding and marketing consultant. I'm an advocate of empowerment. So my main thing or my purpose, I think, on this world is to empower myself and people around me. And I'm a truth seeker. I think
for sure.
More than anything, what I've seen, I've always had a very strong desire to understand and seek and also share the truth. And I think it's kind of incumbent on myself and other people right now to like speak up and share truths and insights. So I'm just doing that. So as I mentioned, my founder setting up my own podcast that's coming. Obviously, I'm going to feature you and like-minded people to connect. So keep your eyes peeled up for PIA podcast. And yeah, some other features and business moves I've got hopefully on the horizon. But yeah, just my main objective is to be a great man. So
you already a great man, brother. You ain't even no aiming, bro. You already a great man.
I appreciate that, man. You too, man. Likewise.
My guy. So Scorpio season, you feel me? Both fellow Scorpios. Energy crazy right now. A lot of shit going on. A lot of shit to dive into first and foremost. But we go get straight to what happened recently, bro. You peeped that Travis Scott shit?
Man, it's crazy. I don't even know what to make of it, you know, to be honest. Like I've just seen it on Twitter and obviously social media. And it's like
Bro.
it's weird because I'm desensitized to a level which is kind of sad and scary
Mm-hmm.
to the fact that I'm desensitized to these sort of things, right? And I was thinking about like how would I approach this? So first of all, obviously, rest in peace to all those that lost their lives, all those people that got injured, everyone that's been affected by that circumstance, because you know people go to a concert to have a good time, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, people's lives have been lost, and that's an easy thing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very sobering and sad, really. Um, but the way that I thought about it and looked at it, I was like, it's kind of like an allegory of the times in a sense of not to even put on a sober, but we're in Scorpio season, right? So we're going to go into the depth.
Into
It's
the
that
depths, brother.
how far can someone go for, you know, enjoyment or happiness, and what does that, the effect that actually has in general life, you know? These people generally wanted to go and have fun, right? And they got a lot of them trampled on, and then there's people around, from what I could see, and again, I don't know, so I actually want to hear your perspective on it. But like people were dancing on the people on the ambulances that are trying to get them out there and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I peeped
like,
that.
This is wild. This is wild. So I really don't know what to make of it. Really, I honestly don't know what to make of it.
Yo, it's so you on like the Twitter I follow. I think we follow the same Twitter. You never know, so many different Twitters. You got psyop. This is like staged Twitter, and then you have the occult Twitter, and you have spiritual Twitter. So you're getting all different sides. But then some things you know, like some things you know, yes, there are demons in this realm. Like that's just there's evil. There's evil here. You no one can say that there is zero evil here. Like there are demonic entities. We're not the only beings that reside in this physical space. You have people who are occupying different bodies here as well, right? We're all spirits having a human experience, but you have other beings who are joyriding in these bodies too. So we gotta point that out. But I was looking. It was one video, bro, when Travis was like looking down at the person who was like passed out or dead or whatever, and like he was like looking like he was in a trance, and I'm like, the man is possessed at this moment, and like this shit is real. Like this like people like this shit is real, bro. Like concerts are just another ritual, and even just like these artists too. I was and I want to get your point about Kanye and but before backtrack on that, Triple X, what's how you pronounce his fucking last name? Extension, whatever that thing is.
Sean.
He was talking about
his name is, how you say it.
Yeah, he was talking about frequency and how the artists use that. And I'm like, damn, that makes sense, because with certain songs you feel sad, certain songs you feel happy, but it's that frequency, because now we understand everything is frequency.
100%. And if you think about like, no, it's because they can't want it to do the voice. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
The car thing again. Lord, don't do this to me, man.
Cool.
Yeah. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about frequencies and demons, and it's trying to cut us up.
See,
but
example.
Yeah, I think if you think about it, even, and I've looked at this like from a sort of like holistic point of view, right? You know, actual concerts, they're harnessing energy, so everyone's directing energy towards one person. So that is extremely powerful.
When you break it down like that,
think about the concept, bro. It's like literally, and me, I love football, right? So I'm pretty aware that, like, for example, I'll give you an example. So you were talking about it earlier, like Liverpool. I support Liverpool FC, right? I love that football team. Not long ago, I think it was like, what is it, last year, the year before that, we won the Premier League, right? And it's never been done in my lifetime. And I remember the moment that Liverpool won the Premier League. I literally broke down. I was on the floor and I was like, felt such a level of relief and like happiness and joy. So many different emotions. And you got to consider that this is a team from IMG support, into I would say that sphere. If we're talking about occult or energy harnessing, that's a lot of energy. That's a lot of things that you can do with that. And essentially, where these musicians, they are put to, especially in the Black community, they are put to the level of almost like gods, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they have so much, influence,
yeah,
to the point where, like people will just listen to what they say just because they're very, high up. And you've got to understand that there's going to be so many, there's going to be elements that it takes to get to that position.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be repercussions from that on like a personal level. You literally could feel like a god.
Mm-hmm.
And, thinking about all of that energy that's harnessed from that. So
but that's that celebrity worship shit in the essence, though.
It literally is. And it's what's the word? It's scary. It's scary to see. It's scary to see. And it's and also it's like, what would you do with that as an individual? If you like, I'm not gonna say to an extent, I can't blame them, because I do believe that there's very dark things that go beneath that that people have to do in order to reach those certain levels. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna say all, but majority of. Yeah. So if that's the case, then how do you know what is coming from you or what's coming from something else? As you said, lower vibrational entities. And across all these different religions and across all different faith spectrums, they call it different things. Demons, lower vibration, all these different types of words. But at the end of the day, there is these lower life forms, right? Mm-hmm. And you question yourself whether are these people in control of their own actions, or is it just a repercussion of like what they're being told to do by certain other energies.
That shit is fucking mad when you break it down, like that, like and it makes sense, because think about it, like you have, like, for example, in America you have, like, I know you guys got it too, like it's like trap music, right? Yeah. Shooting, we robbing, we doing all this shit, you feel me? Mm-hmm. So if you listen to that back and you in the hood in the US, you adopting that energy, you adopting that persona, you becoming that thing. It's because of that frequency that's coming from the music. I was looking at a chart I saw on Twitter. Shout out to Twitter, man. It's like the real news.
It literally is the real news.
Bro, real fucking news, bro. Real fucking news. So you got a chart, and there's what the lower emotions and the higher emotions, and it had like the frequencies right next to like hurts and shit.
Yes.
So I'm thinking like, damn, this makes sense. Like, for example, my brother, we grew up, we wasn't raised in the streets. We was, in a very, take care of yourself, type of household. So his whole persona changed when he started like hanging with certain people and listening to certain music. I'm like, this ain't how we was fucking raised, bro. And I'm listening to the music you listening to. We ain't had to experience none of this. What are you on about?
It's scary, man. And if you think about it, right? So you're talking about the type of music. So you're talking about, so here we have drill, right? Mm-hmm. So drill is like, obviously, drill is originally from Chicago, if I'm correct. Mm-hmm. But then there's a UK version of it that we have here, like, mm-hmm. basically, and it's basically talking about things that happen in the hood, right? Mm-hmm. Like shooting, stabbing, and like basically you going and getting your ops. And I'm not gonna lie, like a lot of the music is catchy.
Right.
And like when I'm going to gym, I'll put some music. I'll put some of the music on to listen to it, and I can literally get extra rep out of it.
Especially in the gym, don't go start.
That is true. I believe that. Yeah, I'm plugging into an extremely primal element of myself, right? Survive, fight or flight, survival. Aggression, those sort of things, like kill or be killed. Those sort of energies, and more specifically, if we're looking at, for example, like continuing the Black Black lineage and culture, and then we're listening to some of the lyrics of people actually praising, shooting, and killing someone else. This sounds like something that the KKK would love to hear, and we're literally listening. We're listening to it, but like, yeah, knock this nigga down, this, that, and you're like, and you're listening to it, and then it's such a such a mind fuck essentially, because you're listening to something that, from the essence, you could say that it's demonic. Because you're literally talking about someone, like, some of them, it goes crazy in the UK. They're doing songs about the people that they've shot and killed.
That's
like
crazy.
Literally like put involved with, right? Or does that sound like a positive deal? And then on top of that, there's the spiritual side of things, right? Things that you were meant to do, or the things that you're told to do. So I put it in the context of, maybe, I think this will be quite a weird, not a weird, but this will be a funny sort of different angle to go on. Lizzo. So if you see Lizzo, she's like a famous popping in America, right? I think there was a time where she potentially said she wanted to lose weight. So she's she's like basically the banner girl for plus size women and music side, and also like, female empowerment, and like, doesn't matter like you're beautiful and all these other elements, right? There was a time, and I think there was a time where she wanted to lose weight, and then people started saying that she herself was sizist. And I was like, this woman is trapped in the cycle of branding that she can't even choose to make a choice that she deems healthy for herself, because she is being elevated as something, as essentially a puppet to push a narrative.
But she wouldn't even know that she was doing that.
It's been pretty recent. But that's just an example. And I think that's a softer example I'd give. Softer example to give, but it's crazy. That's how things happen. And there's lots of people in different areas that have that.
It's a lot of puppet shit.
Yeah, literally is a puppet shit. And going back to the frequency thing, so you mentioned about Triple X Tanchan, or how you say his name, right? Bro, he knew about frequencies. So if you know about chakras, so are you aware of chakras?
Of course.
Chakras. I knew, and I'm asking that. So it's more so I'm saying it to the audience as well.
Okay.
I know you're aware of it, but all of these chakras, essentially, they vibrate on different frequencies. So you can basically tap into these frequencies based on the hertz frequencies of so the root chakra, I can't remember what it is. I think it's 392 or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But there's different levels of frequencies to unlock or clear that energy center within your body. So if your body literally reacts to certain things based on the frequency, how that's what they're tuning in to make make you feel a type of way. You can actually be manipulated by frequencies for your own emotions.
And that's crazy.
That's why if you're thinking about, and I'm not saying that, like, for example, from a biblical point of view, they said that Lucifer was the king of music, right? And he got sent down. He was the chief angel that did music, and then he got sent down to earth because he had pride. But if you think about what's the most influential place that is probably the biggest place? Musicians are probably the biggest rock stars in the world. Like, they're the biggest, most influential people. And why? Because you can manipulate emotion by that. So if you put in the allegories or the like sort of metaphors in place, it would make sense, even if you believe it on a literal scale or not, that he's basically that people can be manipulated, their emotions, which basically leads you, can be manipulated by music. You kind of see that in modern day life.
That's crazy though. That's fucking crazy when you break it. Like, it's a simple thing, because I guess when you just understand things are frequency.
Yeah.
All fucking facets, especially when you can you picking up on that we're all just vibrational beings.
Yeah.
Really, it's all vibrational beings.
Yeah.
God damn. Did you peep that? I watched. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, do you know what the craziest thing is? Like, it's actually a metaphorical truth not a metaphysical truth, that energy never dies, so it only can be transmuted. It's literally like no one has ever figured out how to destroy a particle to to the closest part. So basically, every single thing, it basically, even a dead body is just a frequency that's it's a lower hertz, right? So if you're at a lower hertz, that means you're dead. You're at, I don't remember, like 90 hertz or something like that. I mean, it's probably lower than that, but if you're at specific hertz, that means you're dead, right?
Yeah.
So these are but energy can never be destroyed. Atoms can never be destroyed. So that's eternal. So it basically gets transmuted some way. It always gets placed somewhere else. So if you think about harnessing energy, it's like, oh, we can't really create energy. We can only harness it.
That's so, and it's just, the shit is carefully, it's just carefully, you got what? You got FIFA stages, you got basketball stages, like football stages, and then you got concert stages, all these energy harvesting. That's, it's just like when you broke it down, like when you, bro, when you're in a concert, person's in the sitting on the stage, and all that energy, that's crazy. Especially when they singing and shit too. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And how could you not feel like a god? I think you mentioned Kanye West. We'll probably go into.
Yeah.
How could you not think of yourself like a god based on the experiences that you've seen, the way that people react around you, and the way that people take you in? How can you not?
Because you're being worshipped at that point.
Literally, quite literally.
You damn. And of course, like anything, it's gonna get to your head.
Of course. With humans, we're fragile.
Ego on Super Saiyan at that point.
Super Saiyan Blue, bro.
You feel me?
Shout out my Dragon Ball Z fans.
Hey, shout out. Hey, we out here, man. We out here, man. I watched a little bit. I watched like an hour of Kanye's recent. First of all, love all his interviews. But he was talking about the 808 hertz too. But he said it targets the lower chakras, which is, you know, the sexual chakra. So if you got you have these songs, fuck, you know, for example, that Cardi B song about that wet ass pussy shit, I didn't even think about that. That's targeting that chakra. I didn't even think about that.
Sacral chakra. It literally is. And do you know what? And there is actually a massive point to be. And I actually wanted to loop this into, you know, a wider conversation about culture in general. And like where we think the Western world is going, but then at large the world. If you look at the things that are praised, it's basically lower chakra or root to sacral chakra things, which are basically everything that's physical, pleasure, sex, would you call it a survival sort of things, and consumerism. And the whole point of, like, for example, energy work or stuff like that is you're meant to have a line chakra across all of the different ones. You don't just, obviously, if you have it in balance, so if you're, you know, I don't know, you're in survival mode, just say you're in the army and like you could die at any point, right? Your root chakra is going to be going all over the place. It's going to be active. You're going to need it to be on
that 10. Fight or flight mode.
It's going to be on 10, right? But you don't need that for all of the other areas of life. You need to activate the other elements. And basically what's happened, especially in a Western society, I believe, is that we focus on those two areas, consumption, sex, all of these other things, and it keeps you on a lower frequency. It's not to say that these aren't useful. These are good at a certain extent, but it keeps you at a lower frequency. That means you can't get to the other elements of enlightenment. And I think that's the top part, which is the crown, which is, you know, meeting your higher self or being the highest version of yourself. So if you're always stuck around, what am I going to buy? What am I going to consume? Who am I going to fuck?
But that's the trance.
What money am I going to get? Like, you know, what can I do to do this, like, just to feel good? That is the lower levels. And at times they are needed, because you need to, like, sometimes you need to eat, you need to, like, procreate, all of these other things. But if you stay there, there's not a far that you can go. You can't really go further than your primal self. And we're meant to be elevated beings. We're meant to see the full spectrum of our, you know, light bodies, as it were. So, yeah. it's a thing that's crazy in the Western society.
Hey, it's see, that's why conversations like these for someone who doesn't know this is important as hell. If
Mm.
if it wasn't for certain, resources, I wouldn't know this either. But then it goes to you don't know what you don't know. And we don't know a lot of shit.
And I could be wrong. I mean, I could be conveying it wrong. Well, we could be conveying it wrong. But I think at the very basic level, I think a lot of people know that there's something wrong. I was going to ask you this, actually. If you, what do you think the future of like the Western society is, or society at large, based on what you
see? That's a tough ass question because I don't want to create the wrong timeline. So anytime I think about like what the future looks like,
that's a good answer. I like that.
I gotta be careful. Now I will. Now I was. I've. So what I'm realizing life is, or how it's been, it's a projection of what's been put in front of us. So if you certain movie, certain TV show, certain whatever, those stations, those channels gets channeled into us, we then create that reality, right?
100%.
So I bring it up to say about the whole metaverse shit that with the Facebook doing with the whole virtual experience. We saw this shit in movies, right? Ready Player One, literally the Matrix movie. That's like the end goal, I guess, or if that's even who knows at this point. But I have to say, it desensitizes us, like your point earlier. It desensitizes us. Now when you bring it up, it don't feel right. And with it not feeling right, it doesn't surprise us. But you know something wrong with it. If that makes sense.
No, that's exactly what I believe it is. Like, for example, Ready Player One and all these different films, there's lots of budget behind it because it's a specific design to try and manifest that into reality for people. So they're like, it's not really that crazy because I've seen it in a film. There's reasons why they push so many different dystopian films. And then you're like, oh, well, actually, this isn't too crazy because I saw it in that film one time.
Right.
Or I saw it in this and stuff. And if we're talking about harnessing different energies, part of that is people believing in it or going with it. We've already seen this. We said this about like our previous one, this pandemic. The reason why there's
we definitely get into that too, bro.
The reason why there's such a level of people jumping into it is because it's like mass hypnosis. So it's like, oh, so many people have said it and this is how it is, so I'm going to do that. I know that this, even from a logical point of view, does not make sense, but I'm just going to go along with it. So that means it's the same thing with this metaverse. And you can't tell me these people aren't occultists. I don't even want to know what goes on in their actual lives, because you can look at Mark Zuckerberg. Look at him. Does he look like a human at this point?
Hell,
he looks like he doesn't have a soul.
He go shapeshift at any time, bro. Every time I see that man's face, he go shapeshift at any time.
It's looking like one of them. I don't know if you've seen the Simpsons when they did the thing like, and then they shapeshift and they was like they put it off, and then the presidents are actual aliens.
Bro, that's what they was fucking telling you. Like, there is multiple entities that reside in this thing with us. We're not the only beings. Well, we all not this physical suit. There's so many different beings in this experience. Some of these motherfuckers look like they go shift at any fucking time.
This shit. For real. And even on a logical level, like we talk about frequencies, right? There's only a certain level of frequencies that we can perceive based on us being humans, like in terms of light, light frequencies, and rays and stuff like that. That's why sometimes we can't hear a dog whistle. A dog whistle can hear a dog whistle, but humans can't hear it, right? Because it's operating on a different bandwidth. So think about all of the energies or the different frequencies that we can't see just because it's not in our spectrum. Just from a logical perspective, that must mean there's other things. There must mean there's other things. It's like, how could we be as naive to think, for example, that like, you know, out of the whole space, and again, that's something I really don't want to get into, but like, would you believe that you're the only ones or you're the only things? Like, there's just so much unknown that there must be other things that we're not aware of, that we are privy to, but we're not privy to as well.
Because you can't think like we're the only beings out here, but does that conversation even come up in your reality? It's not a conversation you have from that person's perspective. Yeah, you've seen things on TV or whatever, but you've never had a conversation like, yo, I think aliens real. I think mermaids real. There's dragons out there. Like, those ain't conversations you're gonna have. So when somebody bring it up, they're like, no, you crazy, because they don't think that deep.
Exactly. And that's part of the, like we referenced before, the root and the sacral chakras, keeping people at a specific frequency. We're dealing with lots of very high, and there's a negative as well. Like, you don't want to get too, what's the word, cerebral. And that's why with like people that have imbalances with their crown chakra and stuff like that, these are often people that have mental, like very strong mental issues or something like that. It's because they're literally living in the ethereal, if that makes sense. Like, they're living in the spirit, which doesn't help. We have like physical needs for a physical reason. The whole thing is to balance it. But if you're only at a specific level, then that can be detrimental. And that's why these things don't even appear in people's realities. They don't even ask the questions. And again, obviously there's lots of things to consider, but when it comes to critical thought, at least, and considering other things, or, you know, it's very important to think in a wider bracket than just what you can see and what you're told.
Yo, when you was explaining that, it made me think of Twitter's algorithm. There's certain sides of Twitter that you see because that's the vibration that you're on and that's what you're into. The other shit we don't see.
Facts.
It really shows
That's
you.
true. It literally is. It's a metaverse. It's the metaverse.
It's a metaverse.
I mean, think about it. Yo, we might as well go into that now. With what's going on. I think the thing that shocked me the most, right, is how blatant it is, right, in terms of the orchestrated sort of element of it. So metaverse, i.e., like, you know, a different verse outside of yourself, right? How blatant it is in terms of Facebook's branding and marketing about, you know, what this is. But I think they know that they've got to a point, and when I say they, I mean the powers that be, however you might interpret that, that there's a certain level of like things in play. And again, you talk about timelines. I don't want to say, when I say this, that for a certain amount of people, that this is something that they want. It's like they want to upload. I was thinking about it as like, there's going to be people that genuinely want to upload their consciousness into this thing. There's going to be people that genuinely prefer to live online entirely than live physically in the realm that they are now, physically in their body. Even now, like, we're talking about very early stages, but I guarantee there's people now that just want to be like, yeah, I would want to live online. Okay, I'll live online, like all of my life to be done online.
That's what we do with Twitter and Facebook and such, just on a smaller scale.
Exactly. And how can I, that's why I had to custom myself as well. Like, how many things that I do or are part of what I've been, not necessarily told, but I've interacted with. That's why you have to be very cautious and manage your own timeline, as it were. Wow, yo, timelines. You said about timelines.
Timeline,
wow,
bro.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Timeline.
Bro, what people don't know, there's different parallel realities happen all in this one moment. And that's our job to match frequency wise with the one that we want. So when me and you know, and say timelines, and we want to make sure we're saying the right things, because we understand I'm not trying to be a part of some shit that's not that I don't want. You feel me? So as creators, I need to think about what I'm gonna say, because I want to make sure I ain't creating the wrong thing just for the sake of the conversation.
Man, I mean, and like, you know, but even that, like, when I asked you that question about what do you think the future of is like for Western society, and he was like, I'll go be careful about that way that I articulate this because I don't want to choose the wrong timeline. That's literally how everyone should think, because if you choose the right timeline, i.e. it's the design timeline that you want, you have a different timeline to me, right? Meaning you have a different future and life that you want to curate and create for yourself. And so do I. But we need to be intentional about creating that timeline. And that comes from our own decisions, the things that we will allow and things that we won't allow. So it's kind of like, you know, the West could be going to shit, but in my reality of the things that I want, my life isn't. You know, I'm going to create this sphere of utopia in my own sort of life based on my decisions, the things that I want and the things that I will create.
Because, well, bro,
if everyone could do that, go ahead, man.
My bad. What people don't understand is there's multiple. We're all creating our own individual reality in this one thing. So people's experience is going to be different. For somebody listening, like, well, then how does your reality differ from somebody else's? Because it's happening. It's about perspective of what's going on in my experience. How you perceive a situation is not how I perceive a situation.
100%.
It's all about perspective. There's no good or bad. It's all just perspective.
Facts. It's facts. And do you know what? I'll be quite honest. I feel like I was more emotionally drained from this year and a half than I cared to admit, based on everything that was happening in terms of this pandemic and stuff like that, especially when you try and speak out and all these other things. I've lost friends because of it. Family members, you know, turned against me. All these different things, right? Based on, you know, my perspectives and what I believe to be true and what I want to speak out against, you know. And it's a lot. It's emotionally draining to an extent that I just didn't believe. I remember just sitting down, I was like, wow, this is tough. Like, this is tough. Like, when you're called a conspiracy theorist for what I believe to be critical thinking, it gets very, you know, it can get very tough. But then actually, I flipped the perspective, like you said, and I thought, wow, like, I was made for times such as this. My character, the person that I am, the building blocks of things that I've encountered in my life, struggles, whatever the case may be, have led me to be in this position in order to say, speak, and do the things I need to do. So it's a blessing. And also in time, I believe it's a very exciting time, because one thing I actually wanted to talk about is like, is that I feel like there's been when I say there's awakening, there's been a thing where before you can do all of these things to distract yourself, I think there's a massive element of where people have just been like, you know, this shit ain't working, these distractions or the things that I value or the things that I use to push away what things are actually of the greatest need towards me just aren't available to me. So I can't shut them out based on these other things. And I think that there's so much blessing in that. There's so much opportunity in that if you were to walk into that timeline, as you mentioned.
But then too, you have to I guess look at life like you do from this is allowing me to see things this way.
Yes.
Versus this is happening to me, woe is me kind of shit. Because that's the difference between, you know, for example, you could feel a way about a situation, you can hold on to that energy, but it's your responsibility to shift that at some point, because otherwise that shit can last all day if you let it. But then you have to shift that perspective in that moment. Okay, I'm upset about this. Why? Okay, so we breaking it down. Okay, why am I upset about this situation? So we break it down. Okay, then you get to a point where it becomes silly. You get to that childlike state, that your source-like state. You're like, is this really worth me being upset? I'm upset about this, and then you laugh, and then you just alchemize it. You just release it.
Bro, you said it. Alchemize it. That flipping hell, man. This is crazy, man. This is imagine people getting access to this shit for free, you know.
Bro,
it's crazy.
Free gems, man. Sunday session with Rich, man.
You got, yeah, whoa, it's like, damn, this is a different type of church. I'm telling you right now, this is a different type of church. Like, but for real, alchemize it. That's the elements of, because you know what? You have someone that said very similar experiences. Just say they came from the hood, for example. There's someone that used that pain to maybe go through the hood and just be gangbanging. And then there's someone that said, I never want to be like this specific person. I'm going to take all that pain, all that strife, and put it towards something that I deem positive. It doesn't even necessarily have to be, there's a very stereotypical, like, you know, strong businessman that's making £1 million or whatever. It could just be like, I want to be a great father, or I want to be a good person. I want to be someone that helps out my neighbor. All of these other things, right? That's literally the alchemist, the transmuting that to something positive. Their experiences could be very, very similar, but it's the choices that they make in order to get to whatever their timeline that they want to pick. And I'll give you a perfect example. Yo, you talking about this, yeah? I don't know. Have you seen Marvel? Have you seen the Avengers? I think is it Endgame?
Yeah, Endgame. I've seen it. Yeah.
Do you remember when Hulk was with? He had to go and get. I think it was no, I can't remember what stone it is. The one that Doctor Strange has. And then she's talking to the sorceress, right? And she shows a thread of all the different infinite timelines, right? And that is literally the perfect example of
That's
how
true.
humans are, how we are. We have these infinite timelines. We have these other, and you know, maybe the one out of, like, you know, when Tony Stark wins, and he, you know, when I say he wins, he basically defeat Thanos, right?
Yeah.
And he dies. And that was the one out of whatever billion chance that he could have done to, you know, beat Thanos. But we have that same thing. And you know, the reason why we like all these people, like, you know, the people that done well in their life, is because they chose that minute timeline.
Damn.
They had all of these other opportunities. They said, I'm going to stake my claim on that timeline of belief that I'm going to be the one that beats Thanos, whoever Thanos is, right? In your own, like, sort of allegory, right? And that was that's why we like these people, the Steve Jobs, the people that beat all of the odds, because they took that timeline that they wanted and they just ran with it, regardless of the odds.
Those are people that you want to be, so you align yourself with that timeline, with that frequency.
Exactly.
Damn, that makes sense.
It's intense. And how do we do that? By ignoring the other timelines. So it's quite weird. I actually thinking about this the other day. You can tell a lot, and I'm not going to go as far to say you can understand the person, but you can tell a lot about, especially on Twitter, about what someone speaks about and what they retweet and what they like and engage with. That doesn't mean sometimes they can use it for, like, you know, entertainment purposes and stuff like that. But it's, in many ways, it's a what's the word? It's an open diary. And if you think in a literal sense, they're choosing their timeline and based on the things that they're consuming, which puts them in a specific alignment. What do you think of that?
I believe it, though, because one thing that Twitter showed me, and I guess just social media in general, and even just taking it back, ads, for example, ads is a great representation of whatever you scroll in or focus on, that's what be finna pop up to you. So it's literally your reality is showing you how it operates.
Yes, 100%.
What you focus on is what's gonna project mirror into your physical. Whatever you scrolling on your phone, you go see it on YouTube ads, XYZ, XYZ. It's the same thing. That's crazy. Life really shows you how it operates in, like, the simplest shit.
And I don't know if you've heard about this law, right? So I think this encapsulates a lot of things that are happening now. Is that there's a law of, like, I don't know if I don't even want to say what the law is, because I can't remember specifically what it is. But basically, it's that there's like a karmatic debt. So people have to make something so abrasively open so that they don't get the karmic debt from themselves. So if you think about the atrocities that a lot of people have done, the reason why they've been able to get away with it is because they've been told, they've shown you so many times that this is what I'm trying to do. And then you get a choice. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Do I want to live in this, or do I want to accept it? And then do I or do I don't? And then a lot of people basically do, and they're absolved of all responsibility at that point because you chose it.
We all got free will. You know when the TV says viewer discretion advised, they literally give you a heads up. Yo,
yeah,
I'm giving you a warning. We about to program you. You either stop right now, or our karma is playing. Yeah. But it's the fine print, that detail.
Facts. The viewer discretion advised is a perfect example.
It's like, what?
That's a perfect example. Viewer discretion. What would be the title? What would be the what's the word? The viewer discretion of the times that we're in right now.
Shit. Fuck. What would that be, man? I don't know. The split, the divide. Because I don't know. This is how I'm seeing shit right now. Everything that's going on right now is waking up the people. Now, prime example, bro. To function in society, this is what they're trying to take it. That's one of the timelines. 2 jabs, 3 boosters, COVID pills. You need updated, constant updation, constant, you feel me, to be able to function. Now, let's get to that point throughout this whole pandemic, scamdemic, that it took to that point for some people to be like, wait a minute, this don't make sense. But it had to be that outlandish and outrageous for to do so. Like, prime example, I was out here, I think either in the Chase and I know in the US too, approved for kids to get the jab. Now, that's another outrage, another trigger.
Yeah.
That's going to wake you up. Why does the child has the most pure, cleanest immune system out of all our ass? Why they need it? They get over a cold like that. Immune system clean, Super Saiyan. You feel me? Why do they need 2 jabs, 3 boosters, Scorpios? What's that critical thinking, bro? What's that critical thinking?
And this is the thing, it's got to a point where it's so crazy. People are like, oh my God. Let me describe a possible timeline. And when I say this doesn't maybe fit into our narratives or the timelines that we experience, at least on a personal level. But imagine someone else's timeline, right? Mm-hmm. That they've been told to get this clot shot, that they want to do this to re-emerge with life. So to go, for example, so people around my age bracket, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of them, they've got the clot shot to go and travel, and then or go to parties or whatever. I mean, when I say like go to clubs and stuff like that, mm-hmm. and then they're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna get the first one. I feel shit after that, and I'm gonna get a second one. I feel like a train's hit me, but at the end of the day, or potentially I don't, but I can go and do my thing. Now they're telling me that I need to get a booster shot on top of that. This is not even about the long-term effects. And wow, if we look at the studies or the potentials of what could potentially be coming down the line, people are not going to be happy. It's not even they're going to be happy, they're going to be devastated. And the way that they've orchestrated it, a lot of people won't even relate it to the clot shot, i.e. the jab, because it will be so far gone. That's the genius of it. That's the genius of it. They'll be like, oh, something happened. Maybe I'm unhealthy, blah, blah, blah. They won't ever.
I mean, you are unhealthy.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, shit. The conversation, I mean, I tweeted this yesterday. As long as you are in control of your mind, your body, and your spirit, you shouldn't be fearful of this shit. If you know that you create your experience, and you know that your diet is pretty solid, and your spirit is straight, you wouldn't be fearful. But if it's not, if you lack in I'll say 2 of those, you're gonna be in a fearful state. Now, 100. A lot of people who are fearful, they got valid reasons. You know somebody who got sick. Okay, so now your perspective is this shit is serious. How dare you not take this serious? So then you gotta sympathize with that. So every time I talk now recently, I talk from both perspectives because you got to break it down in both.
Oh,
You got
100%.
you got to break it down in both. You can't say that someone's experience isn't valid, but that's their free will. That's what they experiencing. But it's a lot of head assery shit, bro. And I will call that shit out. I'll be in the gym, bro, and I'm always tell this story. It's this person who was on the treadmill. She had a mask on. No, she had it off the treadmill, put a mask on, got on another treadmill, put her on. What fucking sense does it make? What fucking sense does it make? That should be pissing me off. That should be pissing me off because I'd be like, look, keep it a buck, bro. And I hate this too. When you have to fucking walk in with your mask on, and then when you sat down, you could take it off. What fucking sense does that make? So that shit go stop in the span of 10 fucking seconds. It's gonna stop. It's gonna fucking no, it's not gonna fucking stop. It's gotta be critical thinking, and this shit pissing me off. And I'm in rant mode.
Oh no, listen. We had that rant mode previously, so it's only right that we have our version 2.0 rant mode, right? The thing is, do you know why people do that to a certain extent? It's because my battery's gone low. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah, the reason why people do it to a certain extent is the cognitive dissonance is so high that you have a choice. Basically, if someone can get you to do something that you actually know is fucking stupid, right? The level of like your ego, yourself has to protect itself in some way. So it's like, oh my days, I'm doing something that's so fucking stupid, but I'm doing it because I don't know, like, I have to, air quotes.
A better reason, a higher purpose.
A high purpose to help people. And then so the flip side of it is you choose to do it to be a positive person. So you're like, I'm protecting people, I'm helping people, I'm gonna do. I think I saw this I saw this tweet, and this is like, clown world. This is what I like to call it now, clown world, when it's just like stupid shit that people are doing.
Come on, man.
There was on the tube, and the tubes in London are hardly ever just like no one there. But there was a woman that took a picture, and she said, nobody's on the tube right now, but I'm still going to wear my mask as a form of protection.
I see that. First of all, head ass.
Exactly.
Head ass. First, and then two, that could have been like a little crisis actor, like one of those little pawns. Because it's a small window gap where the train is completely empty and it's not in the middle of the day. It's gonna be like toward the end of the evening, night kind of shit, where like one car is completely empty.
Yeah, literally.
Come on now. And then the shit, I mean, if you want to wear it still, be my guest, wear the mask. You feel me? But I know you can't breathe. Like, I think we can all agree. But if your diet shitty, bro, you ain't take care of your immune system. And I'm challenging anybody who listening to this who's questioning or challenging my this current statement. If you're fearful right now, you just have to ask yourself, is your immune system good? If it's good, why are you being fearful? If it's not, then you're gonna be fearful. So I'm challenging you, if you listen to this and you questioning that, is your immune system straight? How's my diet? Do I take my supplements? Do I work out? Do I get my vitamin D? Just the shit.
And I think we spoke about this the last time, but it gets to the point where sometimes they're actually laughing in your face, because if they're incentivizing you to go and get the clot shot, the ignorance jab. Okay, let me not go far as the ignorance jab, but like if they're incentivizing you to get this with a Krispy Kreme donut and they're telling you that they're involved in your health, come on, man, come on, please.
When has the government ever cared about you? That should be number one.
And the thing is, like, I try to keep it as the most layman thing. So, like, because I have these discussions all the time, right? Like, if someone cares to ask, if they ask me an opinion I'll basically talk about things abruptly and like pretty loudly, in terms of like share my viewpoints. But if they ask me an opinion, I'm going to share it very directly. And I try to keep it as like, at least just from a logical perspective. So the things that I use to counter it is, so one, a vaccine, the definition of a vaccine is something that stops the transmission of said disease,
Right.
or virology. So none of these clot shots can be determined as called a vaccine because they do not stop you from transmitting it or getting it. So
fucking point.
So and then the second thing is meant to lessen symptoms or lessen the effects of these things, of said, like, you know, COVID thing.
You still catching it. You still catching it with that.
And then the people, statistically, the most people that are in hospital are the ones that have been jabbed. The people that are, they have the worst adverse effects, and also the super spreaders. So something isn't adding up here. And then this is why I genuinely ask, just why are you doing it? Like, why? Like, you know, I'm at the point where, and I think I took a leaf out of your book. I think like, in a sense of like, you know, I believe everyone should do what they want to do. You know, if you want to jump off a bridge, jump off a bridge. If you want to do a cartwheel in front of an oncoming truck, you have every right to do that, right? Anyone could do whatever they want, right? And then there's repercussions of it, said, like, you know, getting, you know, the
if you jump off that bridge, your ass gone.
Yeah, exactly, or dying. So I appreciate that you can have the opportunity to do that, but do not pretend in the case that at least have a level of saying that, you know, I've been led to do this. But this is where the cognitive dissonance comes into play, because people don't want to say like that. If you think about it, and generally, like you mentioned, there are people that in their timeline, they've experienced someone that might have died. And I'm not one of these people that are going to say like it's not real, for example,
right?
You know, or something like that. There is the same way the flu is real. I'm assuming this is real, right?
Right. Just another name for the flu.
Exactly. It's just that the extent to you feeling that you're going to be upset or harmed by this, and then is basically, how are you going to justify taking something, a shot that doesn't have any long-term data towards it? It was only just, it's not been approved, and then you compare that to a 99.97 survival rate across basically all age brackets.
Bro, what people,
and it gets lower.
What people ain't questioning enough is forgetting that it's experimental. Okay. You don't know the long-term side effects. Also, for someone who's on the fence about getting it, that should be the main two things to be like, okay, I understand. And it should be done at that. I don't know the long-term effects of this shit.
It's crazy. And this is the thing is, well, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
You just jotted a tiny bit. And this is the thing. And I'm gonna have to. Well, actually, I'm gonna actually like kind of leave on this note, or at least leave towards this note. And this is why. Yo, we got to do it well. Obviously, we're gonna do a third part, but you're gonna be in the PIA podcast.
Of course.
And we'll top it up with Mr. Manifest, and we're gonna talk about how to, you know, navigate and create your own timelines, and how to manifest your own life, and how to get what you want. But whilst we're on the subject of the current timelines, and this is why I spoke about the Western society, I think, and if I was to actually leave the viewers with a message, right, is to look at where things are headed, right? Mm-hmm. So just in general, like, just look at the way things are headed. When you have an apathetic, meaning people that just don't care anymore, apathetic, like general community, it doesn't bode well for the future. And just for like communities in general, I think in general, people are apathetic about a lot of different things. Things and things of value are the things that get left behind. But I would say, if you look at Western society, one of the main things is do the opposite. Just do the opposite of what the Western society is telling you to do. I mean that out of like the most general, like respectful sort of. I'm not here to preach or tell any. When I say I'm giving my advice based on how I perceive things, right? But I don't feel that I'm out of line to say this, right? we have to get back to a point where the things of value are actually valued. And I think about this in the terms of what I call it is modern day copes. So let's just put it in just like different spectrums, right? Instead of like valuable relationships and marriage or long-term relationships, we have situationships, Tinder hookups and stuff like that. Instead of, you know, real and nutritional food, we have like fast food and GMOs and concocted veganized soy products. Instead of actual intimacy and strong relationships and tribes, we have connections. We have Twitter followers or Instagram followers or these other stuff. All of these things are meant to be are created to be substitute. And instead of actual real connections from face to face, we have the metaverse, right?
Yep.
So all of this stuff is triggering you towards synthetic replications of something that's valuable. And everyone sees it around them, right? If we're looking at statistics and all these other things, we can see a very steady decline in Western society. And I just implore anyone that's listening to this message, right? Anyone that's like, you know, taking time out to listen to what Mr. Manifestor said, what Mr. PIA said. And, you know, if you resonate with anything that we talked about, look at yourself, be still for a second and look at the things that you want or value and understand it's going to take time. It's going to take time, it's going to take energy, and it's going to take concerted vision and focus. But those things that require that are going to be things that are worth it, right? And the more that you allow time to be taken up with false validation for things like Instagram likes, for all of these other things that take up a temporary void, the more you destroy yourself towards the actual or stop yourself from getting those things of value. So I would just implore people, anyone that's listening, to take the time out to focus on the things that you actually want, chase them with strength and vision and hope, and don't feel you're real, are not worth it, because that's what everyone else wants. And if you look at the society, I'm gonna like say influencers, for example, social media influencers. So many of them, they're not happy. So many suicides and all these other things. Why? Because and again, I'm not attacking influencers per se, because you can influence in different ways. But I'm talking about the notion of consumerism, right? These things are temporary fills for something that is not something of value. So I would just say, you know, chase things of value. It's gonna be difficult. You're gonna have to exert energy. You're gonna have to, you know, discover things about yourself. But look, don't be going with the tide of the Western society, because it's not going to lead you into a good place. And you know, focus on the higher self and the things of value. That's what I would say.
And on your note, adding to it, what the gym and lifting has taught me, mental discipline. Is gonna be fucking days when you don't feel like fucking going, but you got to remember why you're going. And when you see progress, that's the proof you need. So anything, you take that metaphor, you apply that to anything in life. It's the same key. And it's always been that simple. Consistency and no excuses. If you lifting 3 times a week, or if you doing whatever it is, you have to do it consistently. You go start seeing results. And once you see that first proof where you can't, your mind's gonna try to trick you and make you believe you ain't seeing it. It's gonna be that key point where you're like, damn, this shit is actually working. You already there. Take off. Let's keep going. You ain't gonna stop. You ain't gonna stop. So guys, I'm gonna leave it on that note. Mr. PIA, my guy, thank you for bringing back on, my G.
My brother, thank you so much for having me, man. Honestly, appreciate it.
Of course, man. We go chop it up on yours, guys. As always, you're powerful. I love you. You're the creator of your reality. If you listen to this, I already know that we on the same frequency. We've been using that word all episode, so we'll keep it on. We're on the same frequency. So I love you. Like, subscribe, comment. I want to hear from you. Definitely gonna be a part 4 on this episode, brother.
Yo, love to everyone.
My
Yo,
guy.
thank you, man.